Alright, so we're going to, in the last session, we were going to draw a full circle eternity band with history, and we got sidetracked and we ended up on a 3-stone ring. So for this one, we're going to make sure our history is on, and we kind of had a look at the ring in Fusion 360, and we're going to try to mimic that. So you've got a circle.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 16.8 just because that's the size I always use.
Yeah.
Alright, then if we have a look at the full circle eternity, let's have a quick Google. Eternity ring, grain set. Okay, so the one we're going for is the one with the little beads inside there. Let's have a quick look. That guy's got the slowest website in the history of websites, so we're going to be going for something like this one.
Oh, yeah.
Alright, which is very, very simple. It actually doesn't get much more simple than this. Alright, so you've got a curve.
Yes.
You've got an offset of the curve, or you've got another circle, doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
I'm going to make that, say, about there. Alright.
Okay.
That's about 1.6, 1.7.
Yeah.
If you want to be precise about it,
Yeah.
you can offset it, but then remember to rebuild your parts, okay? So
Yeah.
you can offset it 1.7.
Yeah.
Okay. Voila. Okay. I want to rebuild both these curves
Yes.
to 8 and 3.
Yes.
Good with that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we need to put a stone in here, and we need to see how many arrays. So there's a couple of things when the client comes to you. You've got one of the things you always have is you must have a finger size. Without a finger size, we could not have started this drawing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. The next thing you need to know is the gem. So I'm going to import that same little gem we had before.
Oh, yeah.
There it is there. All right. So what is your gem size? I'm going to show you how to scale something exactly in Rhino.
Okay.
All right.
Maybe 1.4.
So I'm going to hide that for now.
Yeah.
Let's get a dimension.
Yeah.
A linear dimension, and let's snap the end of this over here
Yeah.
to the end of this over here,
Yeah.
and get a dimension.
Yeah.
So if we know that we want to snap this to, we want to make this exactly, I don't know, 7.2 millimeters, all right? You can use the fact that Rhino can do mathematics on the command line. So you can grab this guy,
Yeah.
and go scale,
Scale.
okay? From the new size you want it to be, so sorry, base point is 0. In this case, I want to make the base point down there, I guess. Okay, your scale factor is what percentage do you want to do it? So you can use mathematics. So the new size you want it to be 7.15 divided by the size it is now. And there you go. Stone is exactly 7.15. In our case, we want to make it 1.4, so I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to go scale.
Yeah.
From the tip over there, I'm not clicking, I'm just waiting for a scale factor on the command line. I'm going to go 1.4 divided by the size it is now, 7.15. Now I have a stone that's exactly 1.4 mil. I can see your brain going into meltdown. Alright, just follow the video and believe me that it works. Alright?
Okay.
So you've got a stone exactly 1.4 millimeters. If you take a dimension now, there was a dimension in there, it'll be right. So I'm going to show this. Alright, and we're going to bring the stone up here. 1.4 mil stone. When you do the design, the stone should always be just underneath the surface when you finished your setting. All right, it protects the stones.
Yeah.
And it stops them from damaging a ring that it's next to.
Okay.
Okay. So in this case, we're going to have a quick work out how many stones are going to go around for us. So the mathematics again here is reasonably simple. You know that the stone is 1.4 millimeters. You can get a length from this. Okay. 63. You can do mathematics on the command line. Go 63 divided by 1.4 plus a little bit of space.
Yes.
Or you can just go bugger it. I'm going to play and have a look. So you're going to go array polar.
Yeah.
Center of the polar array is 0 in our case. Number of items, I'm going to take a wild guess over here and say, yeah, let's go 35. All right.
Yeah.
You could have also used array on curve. It doesn't really matter. So you can see 35 didn't quite make it, so I'm going to go with 40, which was my first guess. Always trust your first guess.
Yeah.
Now you want to leave about 0.15 between these if you can.
0.15.
Okay, if you can.
Okay.
not always possible. Sometimes the customers are difficult and they want a specific number of stones. That looks about right to my eye. So just remember this number. It takes 42 of them to get around.
Yes.
Okay,
42.
so
Okay.
I'm going to go escape.
Yeah.
All right. In the front view over here, we're now going to do an extrude.
Yes.
You want to always go about 0.5, 0.6 past the stone if you can. We know that this is 1 point, so we know that this is 1.4 is the stone.
Yes.
So plus 0.5 plus 0.5 is 2.4.
Yes.
So you can extrude to 2.4.
Yes.
Whoopsie, 2.4 divided by 2, because we're going both directions. All right, that's safe. That's very, very safe. All right. So depending on the kind of setting you're going to do inside here, let's go to ghosted viewport. Depending on the kind of setting you're going to do, you're going to cut a border upwards, have a little rim. But if you look at this, you'll see that this one is a lot tighter. You've got to remember that this was tighter after the setting was completed. All right. So you've got to cast an item. You've got to give the jeweler enough room to paper something down, The setter's got in there, he's got to cut a bead, he has to cut another bead.
Yes.
So safe would be 0.5. You can probably get away with 0.4, 0.3.
Yeah.
Just use a little bit of practice.
Okay.
Right. So
0.5. Okay.
we now want to cut a little area. You can see that if we look at this, you've got an inset, like a kind of V shape going down. Then you've got your prongs. And it's
Where
coming
is the
back.
V shape?
Yeah. This angle goes in. Shaped like a shaped in. You can't see that? Okay, let me draw it, then you'll see.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to take the rectangle. I'm going to go from center, from the bottom of that stone, something like that. I'm going to hold shift to lock it into a square.
Yes.
I'm going to rotate it around itself at 45. I forgot you can't snap an exact degree. So let's go 45. Bring it up and scale it out a bit. Okay, so I leave a little bit over there so our fillets don't break. All right.
Okay.
Now that V that I'm talking about. Can you now see what I'm talking about? There's an angle that comes. Oh, for God's sakes! Go backwards. I will go backwards. All right. You can't see that this cuts in with an angle. Same as this. We're about to cut in with an angle here from the edge of the band. There's an angle from the edge of the band. See it there under my mouse? No, still not? Okay, keep going. All right, so I'm going to do that.
You mean the drill?
No, this angle. Okay, let me finish drawing it, then I think it may be a little bit more clear.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to give you a bit of space like that. All right, then we need another rectangle, or a line, doesn't really matter. I think we're going to seat underneath the stone, something like this. Okay, so I'm good with that. So we're going to produce something to create a sweep. So you and you, I'm going to trim.
Yes.
Get rid of that and that and that. Press enter and join. And in this case, because we know the ring's completely round, I'm going to do a revolve. From 0 in this direction. Press enter twice. And we can do a Boolean difference. Okay, so shaded, take you. BD, Boolean difference with you. Okay. Now, can you see the edge I'm talking about? This edge under my mouse. See how it comes in at an angle? See this edge, how it comes in?
You mean this edge?
Yeah, the one under my mouse, yeah.
Okay, alright.
Alright, so we've created that edge now. Now we're going to create some beads to go around the stone and a hole that's going through the stone. Alright, so I'm going to delete. I no longer want that curve anymore. We may scale this in a little bit later, so I'll just dump all these curves. So I think that this can probably come in just a little bit in this direction, something like that. There we go. I'm happy with that. All right, so now we've got to create 4 prongs.
Yes.
And then we've got to array this guy. So a prong is pretty easy to create. I guess you can use a line. You can pipe it with a round end, or you can do a sweep. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to go with the line method. I'm going to look for the angle that's, see, they've got the center of the stone, you've got the staff as to the stone.
Yeah.
I'm going to draw a line from there. because I know that I want this exactly 4 of them. I'm going to go in a little bit like that, make sure my prong is just a touch up like that, and I'm going to pipe it somewhere like that. Now what I'm looking for in the top view is I want the edge of this prong to align. I want a line, and I want this prong to align with the edge of this stone here. See this edge of the stone here?
Yeah.
I want that prong to not be over here, because otherwise it's going to go into the next prong.
Okay.
Alright, so depending if you're going to make, I'll show you the difference between shared prong, which is this one here. I'm going to show you shared prong. So here, one prong is sharing 2 stones. And then 4 prongs per stone, which in my opinion is a nicer, less lazy method of doing the same thing.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go have a look in the top view what we got. I think I'm okay with that. Okay, so this is going to be for the 4 prong version. I'm going to fillet that edge. Looks like about 0.125 will do it for me. Yep, that's about right. Okay, so again, we want this to be over just like that, up a little bit like that. We'll find out quick enough because we've got history. You can see that that's not big enough. I'm going to go not small enough. I'll go a little bit smaller. Bring it over like that. All right. So a general rule for the setter is you want to have the stone at least 1/3 in.
1/3 in.
So if you look at your prong, this would be 50% in. The stone is 50% deep. It's halfway into the prong.
Okay.
That's a little bit dangerous. Generally speaking, you want it to be at about 30% in, which is roughly there. So if you divide it in your mind's eye, if you divided this prong into thirds, the bite for the stone should be about there.
Okay, I get it.
All right.
Yeah.
The second thing we want to do is just like get it over somewhere, which I think there is pretty good. All right. Now we're going to take this. We're going to mirror it over here. All right.
Yes.
Then we're going to grab both of these, and we're going to mirror them again over here.
Yes.
All right. Now we want to remember that this prongs, let's get our layers. Where are my layers gone? Where are my layers gone? Oh, I was playing with it last time and I turned it off by mistake. My bad. All right. So I'm going to call this the history layer. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm going to move that prong onto the history layer. So remember the purple prong is the one we want to work with.
Yes.
All right. So change object layer. So now if we play with this one.
Yeah.
You see all the other prongs are moving around?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to put it somewhere like that. And now we're going to do an array.
Yeah.
How many items did we need?
42.
42. Oh, we're still on 42 because we're in there.
Yeah.
Okay. And you can have a quick look and see it. I think we're pretty good over there. Press enter. I'm going to grab our top one over here, this prong, and I'm going to move it out a little bit because it's a bit more than 1/3 in. So keeping an eye there. I still got nice space there. I still got nice space there. And all the
nice space here.
Yeah. So the setter has to be able to get in there with a tool and push this prong over.
Yeah.
If you had this and the two were merged with each other, the setter's going to have a problem.
Okay.
Lazy jewelers make one big prong over here and get the setter to just try to share the prong between 2 stones. What that means in the real world is if one prong breaks, you lose 2 stones.
Okay.
It depends. All right. So some people also like it because it looks less noisy to have the one shared prong.
Okay.
All right. So you're there now. We need to make a cutter to go through the base. So I'm going to keep that like that. The cutter needs to always be roughly about half of the stone if you can. For really good casting, you want as big as possible, as whole as you can, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to draw a circle from the culae of the stone. I'm going to find it in the bottom here. Then I'm going to come to my top view. I'm going to go roughly, it was 1.4, so I'm going to go roughly, I think there. All right. So this guy we're going to extrude straight down.
Yes.
All right. Come down. That curve, get rid of the history warning. Alright, I'm going to grab the bottom end, Control Shift, I'm super selecting it.
Control Shift, yeah.
Alright, and what I want to do with that, I need to get that hole bigger up, higher up, give me a chance.
So you want to cut out?
I want to, if I cut this out now, the holes need to taper because otherwise the holes are going to start touching onto each other and the ring's going to have no strength. So I've pushed this through. There's the top of the ring. We've got to cut right through the ring. I think, just let me do it and then you'll understand. Yeah. So I want to make this, I want to taper this a little bit. So I'm going to do
super
this,
select.
super select, scale it a little bit smaller so the hole comes out just a little bit smaller on the bottom. All right.
Okay.
So I'm going to array this again. Again, we need 42,
yeah.
And then that's all our holes.
Yes.
All right. So I would, if I was drawing this and I'd spent all the time doing it, I'd save this ring out at this point. Because now when you start doing the Booleans, you're gonna lose all your history, so you save this ring out at this point.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna create this here. I'll grab all of this, change object layer. All right. Change object layer to there. Hang on, I actually wanted to duplicate it to that layer, so copy objects to this layer and turn that layer off. Because we're going to go back in and we're going to delete everything we just did, at least in terms of the prongs. So we're going to grab all the prongs and delete them. There they are there. And we grab all these prongs, with the exception of one at the top. That's fine. Let's just delete it and make another one. All right. So for the shared prongs you see in the other one, you'll see that it's actually kind of a rectangle prong. It's not round.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, it's kind of square and then the top gets rounded off.
Yeah.
So you're going to do a very similar kind of thing. We're going to just come in here, we're going to draw a little rectangle that's going to go over them. I'm going to find 2 points that look kind of like they're going to work for me. I'm going to go make a rectangle. And make one from... you know what, I'm just going to make one. So I'm going to draw it out kind of like that. I'm going to try and match it over the center as far as I can. Let's bring it up. And let's extrude it. Just a little bit like that. Let's have a look if we're good. That was probably the messiest thing I've ever done, so I'm going to go in and delete it. Alright, I'm going to draw a rectangle directly from the center, so that I can line it up properly. So from center 0, and it doesn't really matter what size I draw it, we just want to bring it up and scale it. Alright, let's scale it smaller. I feel like that will be okay, so let's scale it bigger because we can always make it smaller. Now we're going to rotate it. What I did before, when I drew it, I tried to draw it at an angle, and when you try to extrude it, it comes out not good. So right now I can rotate it to exactly between those 2 prongs. And when I do extrusion, it's straight. Okay. Okay, so let's bring this guy down, put him in the middle there. I've got a nice reference point. I've got a reference point from the edge of the table to the edge of the table, kind of over there. Let's have a look. I'm good with that. I'm going to bring that in, and I'm going to scale it a little bit like that. Okay, so again, what we're looking for is we're looking to go 1/3 over the stone, but not more. So you can see I'm way over the stone at the moment. All right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to scale this in. Change my gumball to object, align to object. And why did it align it on the middle anyway? Sometimes Rhino's gumball can be a little bit silly. Okay, so I think that's where we want to be. So we're going to smooth this off a little bit. We're going to fillet the edges up the top.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go the one for now. All right. Then you're going to arrive at, that looks like it was a little bit narrower than that, so I'm going to pull that in a bit, something like that. All right, let's have a look. Yeah, there's even a little bit smaller than that. All right, so about there. So let's bring that over. All right, so now we're going to do a ray polar again.
Yeah.
All right, try to center this guy up as much as you can, and then we're going to mirror.
Yeah.
0, and then we're going to array polar those 2 items. All right, let's grab those. Array polar. 0 and 42 items is correct.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you got that version of the wedding band. Alright, so again, I'd probably save this now before you go too far. Because using the same number of stones, using the same cutters, the same Booleans to cut it all out. Right?
Yeah.
So at this point, you can see now the V I was talking about inside here. This shape, you can't see it on this guy's view, but if you look on the side, so that taper in is this taper in here.
Yeah.
And you kind of got the shared prong thing going on over here.
Yeah.
In their case, the stone is sticking up quite high off the base, but I think it's probably about the same as what we've got going on here.
Yeah.
So now you would start doing all your Booleans. I don't like the cutters we drew, so I'm going to go back in, I'm going to dump them. I got lucky the first time round. And I'm going to draw, have we got a stone at center? Yes, we do. So I'm going to revolve a cutter at the moment. So this over here, this line, is the bottom of our channel. It's where the stone is resting in. Okay, so it's this area here, it's the bottom. See that between the stones, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to draw a curve that comes down, comes in, and then we're going to revolve it, and we're going to create a cutter from that. So I'm just going to use a straight curve.
Yeah.
I'm going to come in like this, about here. I'm going to come just below the stone there. I'm going to come down, and then I'm going to come at a taper angle like that.
Yes.
And that's it. That's all we need. So now we're going to revolve. I'm going to cap that.
Yeah.
And we have a cutter. So the cutter needs to be arrayed as well.
Yeah.
Dollar. Around 0, 42. And now we've got our cutters. Alright, so when we cut this, I'm going to be a lot happier that the cutter's going to work with the ring. If you want to render this later on, Rhino's, or actually every render engine has an issue where metal is intersecting other metal, alright?
Yeah.
So if we go back, because we've still got the history on this curve, if you intended to render this, you'd have to grab that point, you'd have to bring it up out of the metal to make sure the stone is not intersecting anywhere. Okay?
Yeah.
When we press enter now, nothing happened because Rhino history sucks. Alright, so escape. Alright, did that update all of them? No, it didn't. Alright, so we're just going to go in there and we're going to delete all our cutters yet again. Sorry, my bad. Let's go Control Z a few times before the cutter was put in. Alright, and we want to move that point just above the ground plane.
Yeah.
Right, because if this stone was in the ground plane, what's going to happen is the stone and the ground plane sharing the same space, and the stone's going to come up black. All right. So we've got, is my cutter right? No, it's not. Okay, so revolve. Around 0. I'm going to get really finicky now, if you don't mind. I also want to cut away the prong for render purposes. So we're going to go in, I'm going to get rid of all the other prongs. So I'm going to go cell mesh to get our stones, I'm going to hide them.
Yeah.
And delete all the prongs except the one prong I need. Funny how Rhino will tell you when it feels like telling you that it's doing stuff. Other times it won't. Alright, so we're going to do an all-in-one. So I'm going to take this prong.
Yeah.
I'm going to cut a hole through the prong itself as well, and through here, and through all of them all at one time.
Yeah.
So I'm going to create a curve. I'm going to come in, I'm going to try and match the surface of the stone where it's coming into the prong, so something like that. And come down to about here.
Yes.
And then come out through the bottom of the ring. Alright, so we're going to take that guy, we're going to revolve it. And cap it.
Yes.
Okay. And then we're going to use it to cut out a hole through the prong, so that once we array the prong, it's already got a hole cut in it.
Yes.
Now you see where two edges come very close to each other for a Boolean. That's generally not a great thing. So I'm going to either move these prongs down a little bit or move them up a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to do that. I might move them up just a little bit like that, just to make sure that when we do this Boolean, those two edges aren't touching. So I'm going to grab you.
Okay.
And you, and I'm going to do a Boolean difference. Make sure in your command line, you see it says delete input.
Yes.
In this case, we want to keep this, so we're going to turn that off. That's our cutter.
Yeah.
So, yep. See how it's cut through the prong?
I saw that.
Let's cut a seat into the prong for the stone.
Yeah.
Alright, so that's great, that's what we want. Now we can take all of this and array it. Alright, so that curve, dump for now, so you and you, all of you.
Yeah.
Array polar, 0 and 42. Wrong viewport. Array polar,
Yeah.
around 0 and 42. Okay, so now all of these prongs
Yes.
I needed to cut the other side. Oh my goodness, Control Z. Not Control Z, let's redo. See what I forgot? The cut is on one side, but the cut is not on the other side.
Yes, yes.
Right, so I've got to take these two. Boolean difference for that. Okay. I want to keep these two, so I'm going to do this. And I press Shift, and I go Control C to copy it.
Yes.
Now I'm going to go Control Z to undo everything we did. So Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. All right. And delete these two prongs. And I'm going to paste Control V. Remember I stored it in my copy buffer?
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right, so I've just put it back. You can see over here that that's not exactly, it is actually going to work for me. If not touching, correct. All right. Okay, so now finally we can get to it. Wow, this has been, I said it was going to be simple, and it's turned out to be a little bit longer than I thought. All right, so array polar, around 0 and 42. Okay, done. You happy to see the end of that one, right?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to turn off the meshes, the gems.
Self mesh.
And so you see the mesh. If you do this,
Yes.
you see you selected a mesh.
Yes.
So I want to hide the stones for now. So I'm going to go Cell Mesh,
Yeah.
hide.
Hide.
Or actually, I can just make a gem layer.
Okay.
The question you had this morning might be where you went wrong here. You want to move these
Yeah.
objects to this layer, not copy them. You
Okay.
want to change the object layer so that you
Okay.
can turn it off.
Yeah.
And poof, the gems are gone. Poof, the
Yeah.
gems are back.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so now we've got to do a bunch of Boolean differences and then a bunch of Boolean unions. All right, and generally this can be quite problematic. So in this case, we want to go Boolean difference. We do want to delete the input. Yes. We don't want to keep the color. So I'm going to select a few at a time. Especially where you do Boolean differences with the seam of one item is directly over the seam of another, it can cause problems. So I'm going to leave that one to last.
Yeah.
A few of these and press enter. Yep. Right click to run the command, select, 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 enter. Right click. Try to do not too many at one time. It can sometimes cause your surface to break, or Rhino gets confused. I'm not entirely sure that you can say that a program gets confused, but Rhino seems to get confused when you pick a lot of Booleans at one time.
Alright.
And we do the same command. Let's work our way through. And where I have a Boolean where the seams are crossing over each other, like the one at the very bottom and the one at the very top, I have a tendency to do them on their own.
Okay.
So we have most of these holes cut out now. Okay.
Yes.
So we're going to do this one now. You, Boolean difference with you. And let's have a look. You'll see that this Boolean worked, but it left a funny line. Is that our curve? That's our curve. Okay, so we can dump the curve.
Yeah.
And then let's go do the bottom one. So you, Boolean difference with you. Okay.
Yes.
And now you're going to Boolean union to put these items back in. All right, so Boolean union. Worked. Okay. Okay. Let's grab all of you. Boolean union worked. And you, Boolean union worked. I generally speaking don't actually do this. I take it to Blender or any other mesh tool, and I do mass Booleans in an outside tool. I'll use Rhino to get my look right, and especially since I want to keep it for history. That took a bit long, so I expect that when we do a what on this, we're going to find that we have a broken surface. Okay.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is created naked edges. One of the Booleans went a little bit wrong. So I'm being a little bit greedy and I'm grabbing a lot of them at one time. And that history message is so annoying. It would be okay if it didn't ding, right? The fucking ding is the most annoying thing about it.
Alright.
Okay, so have we got any left? If you select through here, you should now just have one item. Okay, so let's watch that and see if we've got any drama on our hands. Valid and closed. We're super duper lucky.
Yeah, good.
Got lucky this time. Sometimes they will bite you, all right? Okay, so you want to do a little bit of housekeeping at the moment. So you want to maybe go in and fillet these edges just a little bit.
Yes.
For render purposes, 0.125 is generally ample.
0.125.
It just makes it look like it's meant to be sharp, but it didn't turn out very sharp. If you gave Manny small holes like this, he'd not be happy with you, to be frank. So I'm not going to go all the way back to do all of that. So this time I'm going to go 0.05 because I also want to break the surface over here and the surface over here. There we make it. Yep. And then I want to break the surface on the inside and the surface on the inside. To get it all around. Yep. Let's see if it causes a failure over here. Did it? No, it worked. We are being exceptionally lucky today.
Yeah.
All right, so let's show our gems. Okay, now you can go about rendering this item. All right, so if you're in your rendered viewport, you can start assigning some materials to it. If you're really pedantic, we should have done this when we drew the cutter. You could have also drawn a little radius on the bottom of this. So if you go fillet edge, for these I'd use 0.2. And you can work your way around the ring. Just depending on how fancy you want to get for render. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to go Control Z because I don't need to get that fancy for render because there's a trick inside Rhino. Remember I taught you a trick the other day? See those sharp edges?
Yes.
Highlight this item.
Go
to render. Go to render.
Render.
Go to effects.
Yes.
Go to edge softening. And it'll play a trick on the mesh up to 0.1. I'm going to select 0.05. Did it work? It's still going. It's working hard. There's a lot of surfaces in there. Let's hope it doesn't crash Rhino. No, it didn't. Alright, and it didn't even work on these. So an actual render worked, but that didn't. What it is doing though is trying to find and soften. In fact, I don't like what it did, so I'm going to Control Z. I'm going to remove it. I'm going to go edge softening, remove this time. So I'm going to go to tools, to render, and go to effects, and go to edge softening, and I'm going to click on off and remove it. Okay, anyway, so I'm happy with where that is. We can start looking at the rendering. So for rendering, you're going to want a ground plane, you're going to want a natural look.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take this as the ring, I'm going to put it on here, change object layer as the ring. Okay, so it means I can turn the ring off, on.
Yeah.
I've got the gems off, on.
Yeah.
The history layer we can now delete, we're done. So I need to delete that layer. Always, if you can, what was on layer 5? Oh, that was the double prongs. So you got this ring in two versions. One of the double prongs.
Yeah.
So I'll just leave that layer off for now. Call that double prongs. Okay.
Yeah.
Gem we got in there. Okay, so we're good. So what I want to do is I can now group all these items.
Yeah.
We can, remember I said the other day, it needs to look kind of natural. So we're going to create a line through here. I'm going to put a couple of clicks in it. Okay, and in the side view we're just going to okay, and bring it down underneath the ring.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
We're going to take that ring and we're going to rotate it so it's flat. So shift to lock to an orthogonal 90 degrees. Let's bring it down so it's actually touching the ground plane. The way the way to make it touch exactly, let's create the ground plane and extrude that curve sideways. Okay, So the way to make two things touch exactly, you grab both of them,
Yes.
type the word align.
Align.
In this case, we want to align to the bottom of each of the items. And bring it
Ah.
back up to 0, so press 0. Those two
Okay.
things are now exactly touching. There couldn't be more
Okay.
touching if you tried.
Yeah. Okay.
Alright, so we want to shoot the render in this direction, so I want to take another one of these rings. I want to copy
Yeah.
this. Okay, and bring this one backwards, like that.
Yeah.
And get it so it's kind of touching on this one, right over there.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to rotate it from there so it's touching the ground. So now
Yeah.
I'm going to do a rotate from around this area,
Yeah.
okay, to the end of this ring. So shift because we know it's straight and bring it down so it kind of looks like it's touching the ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So then it looks natural. It looks like the two rings are resting on each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. And you can set up your perspective viewport, how you want to render them, and start applying the materials. So we've got a render
Down.
view. Let's apply. Let's get rid of that curve. Okay, and we go to our layers. Look for ground plane. Last time we used leather. I didn't sort of particularly happy with that leather look. Organic metals. Where are we? Whoops. Metal. Polished. We're going to go white gold, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to pull my layers out. Where my layers got me? Pull my layers out here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to come back to the materials, and I want to put the polished white, polished silver. Which one's the ring? That's the ring, so ring. So we're going to put the polished silver. Now you said, remember last time you had a problem with this?
Yeah.
Because you may not have had your layers correct. See, like only the ring gets the silver now?
Yes.
Okay. Then we're going to get a gem, and let's put something on the ground plane. Let's make a nice satin ground plane. Satin bronze, satin black, something nice and dark. Whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
play around. This is the fun part of working.
Yeah.
Alright, so remember we've got to create a gem. Alright, so we're going to grab our gem materials.
Yeah.
See, so first, can you see that we've got the ground plane selected? So we're going to go cell none. Make sure nothing is selected. Then we're going to select our gems.
Yes.
Select objects.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're going to go to the material.
Yeah.
We're going to create a new material. The gem.
Ah.
We're going to use a diamond.
Yes.
We're good. Okay, and we're done. Gem, done. Alright, so if we go back into this viewport now and we cell none, and you've got to move it over to ray traced, then you're going to get the stones with the gems.
Good.
And then you just got to leave it. You see that it's counting.
Yes.
51 to 1,000. The closer it gets to 1,000, the more gemmy the gems are going to look.
Yeah. Okay.
If that's even a word. I'm not sure that's a word, but yeah. Alright, so let's put a different colour on the base. There we go.
Yeah.
Alright. Put a nice reflective plastic on the base, whatever you want.
Yeah,
Have a bit of
yeah.
fun. So this live viewport's very fast to work in.
Yeah.
Metal, render content, plastics, Swiss plastics, plaster plastic. Let's put a black, opaque, black, transparent, black, reflective, black, opaque. There we go.
Better.
That looks better to me.
Yeah. More elegant.
Alright, so then you can also again, you can play with your material. In his case he had yellow gold, so
Yes.
grab your yellow gold, put it in there, play whichever way you want.
Yes.
However, I do got to say to you that the rendering in Rhino is a bit...
Yeah, I need to have a look at this part, the V part, the video again. I'm
Okay.
still confused how.
Alright, no worries.
Thank you.